I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, a place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and the overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ. And today's episode, I just want to talk about why it's so important to show up for yourself. Um, I was having a conversation with a few friends the other day, and we were just talking about how, you know, when you expect people to show up for you because you're doing something, whatever it is, you're planning an event, whatever it is, and you expect people to show up for you, and they may not show up, or they may say they're going to show up, but they may not show up, or they may wait until they can benefit from something or make a profit off of something, whatever the case may be, and then they want to show up. And, we were just sitting there talking, and, me being the type of person that I am, or that I'm trying to be, where I do my best to lead with understanding, lead with, grace. I'm like, sometimes it isn't that they're waiting for that, it to be profitable. Sometimes it just may be they got things going on and they just can't show up for you because they're trying to show up for themselves, because they may not have people showing up for them, whatever the case may be. And I just said, that's why it's so important to show up for yourself. And mind you, this is also something that I'm learning um, for myself through therapy, how important it is to show up for yourself, because you may not have the people who showing up for you for whatever reason, for different circumstances, different reasons. They may not be able to show up for you. So you have to show up for yourself, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be able to answer every single question, or you may not have all the steps or all the whatever to all the steps to the plan, whatever the case may be. But the most important thing is just showing up as yourself for yourself. And so, I was just telling them about earlier this week, um, how I had been waking up a couple of days just not feeling good, just feeling like I need to throw up. And I don't know if I've ever said it on here, but I'm not gonna lie, I turn into a big baby when I'm about to throw up. Not necessarily when I'm sick, but when I'm about to throw up, everything just kind of shuts down for me. Because I'm that person who, when the doctor has to, check my throat or have me stick out my tongue and put the stick on my tongue, I'm just like, I'm ready to fight, because I don't do well once I get that gag reflex. So when I feel like I'm about to throw up, my body just kind of takes over, and I'm just pushing people away or whatever. It's just a natural instinct. I do not like to throw up. So for the past, couple of days, I had just been waking up with this feeling or sensation of, I just need to throw up. So I hadn't been going. So I didn't go to the gym the first day that it happened. So then the next day, and I'm feeling bad all day, like, oh man, I didn't go to the gym, because I wake up 4 hours before I have to go to work. That gives me enough time to get to the gym, do my workout, 40 minutes on the treadmill, make it home, take a shower, and then get ready for work. So I wake up 4 hours before I have to go to work. So the first alarm went off for the gym, and it was just like, oh, I feel terrible. Nope, I'm going back to sleep. My second alarm goes off 2 hours before I need to go, before I have to, 2 hours before I have to go to work. And so I was like, I'm gonna go back to sleep. If I wake up and I'm still feeling like this, then I'll just, call out. That gives me enough time to call out. So woke up feeling a little better. So I went to work that day, but I didn't go to the gym. And the whole time I'm at work, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I didn't go to, I didn't go to the gym, whatever. And so the next morning, woke up, still had that feeling, but it wasn't nowhere near as bad. So, I went, brushed my teeth, washed my face, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go to the gym and see what I do, just see if I can get through the workout. Maybe I don't do the 40, maybe I don't do the walk at the end. I just see if I can get through the workout. Get through the workout, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling pretty normal. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do 10 minutes. 10 minutes go by, I can do another 10. So I get through the whole 40 minutes. But I remember on the ride to the gym when I was just like, I'm gonna just do the walk. And I'm gonna just do the workout, and I might not do the walk. I was just sitting there feeling bad, like, uh, just feeling bad, not giving myself grace, not giving myself a little understanding, realizing that every day is not going to be perfect. Every day I'm not going to get through the 40 minutes. There are going to be times where, you know, my body just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I have to be okay with that. Every day is not going to be perfect. I'm not going to have the perfect workout every single day. What matters is that I show up and I do what I can to the best of my ability. So if that means my workout in 10 minutes, cool. If I can do 20, cool, whatever the case may be, but just do something, show up for yourself and do something. So I say all of that to say that's what got the conversation. That's what kind of got me thinking that way. And for us to then have that conversation of just showing the other people showing up for us, it kind of made me realize, well, I had already realized, but it was just my chance to speak on why it's so important to show up for yourself, because sometimes through some parts of your journey, you have to show up for yourself. You won't have anybody else to show up for you because they may have their own things going on or whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? Because it really isn't even about them in this moment of why they can't show up. It's about the fact that, okay, people aren't showing up the way you expected them to. So now you got to show up for yourself. And that's what matters, because you're the one that you're doing. Whatever it is that you're doing this. You might be doing it to help people, but don't lose focus of why you're doing it. So, if you're trying to do community service to help people less fortunate than you, whatever the case may be, you got to make sure the main thing stays the main thing. And that was something that I had to deal with, especially with this podcast, with the podcasting thing, because I'm not getting the views that I wish that I would get, but I also know that I can do better with the promoting. I can do better with this. I can do better with reposting. I can do better with a lot of things. But I have to realize, okay, are you doing this for the views, for the money, for that? Or are you doing this because you want your message to get out? You want to be able to express how you feel. You want to be able to talk about what you're going through. You want to be able to help someone eventually, even if people don't get the message now, but let's say they get it 2 years from now and whenever, and now your message is out there and it's helping people. Like, what are you doing this for? And that was early on, that was something that my therapist, talked to me about, because she asked that serious question, like, well, what are you doing this for? And I had to just constantly remind myself, I'm doing this for me. Like, when I originally started doing this, it was just, I was in such a bad place, so frustrated, so annoyed. I just needed something that was just mine, something that was me, that was for me. I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I didn't have to worry about doing this for anybody else or looking a certain way to please anybody. It was just about me telling my story, getting things off my chest that I wanted to say or that I wanted to get out there, and then just putting it out there and seeing what happens. And then I started to get positive feedback, or going with negative feedback. Everything is not going to be for everyone, but I had to get back to what was important and realize that I have to show up for me. So even if I don't get any views, I have to be there for me. What's important for me right now is just to continue telling my story, continue telling my progress, continue talking about the things that I'm going through and what's helping me get through those things, or what's hindering me from getting through those things. What steps am I taking to push myself forward? Just basically just telling my story. And a part of that is just constantly showing up for myself, because I've lived long enough to understand that life is not going to go the way I plan it. Yes, I can spend years planning something, but something's going to happen that I did not expect, and it's going to throw those plans off track. You know what I'm saying? And it may even get it to where you have to scrap all of those plans and come up with a whole new plan in that moment. So first thing was just me understanding that life isn't always going to go the way I expected to, and that there is always going to be a rough time, a tough time in every single thing that you go through. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be a struggle in every single thing that you do, whether it's a major struggle that lasts a long time or a small struggle that may last, a small amount of time. And even with that long and small, it's all relative to what you're going through. So the biggest thing you can do is show up for yourself. That doesn't mean that you don't rely on other people. That doesn't mean that you don't ask for help or you don't ask other people to show up for you. What it means is, even though you ask those people and even though you rely on those people, understand that life may throw something at them to where they can't come through the way that they want to. They may really want to, but life may have other plans. And even when that happens, you have to be okay with that, because you got you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to, because I'm not the type to preach you don't need people. I'm not that. That's not what I preach. That's not my message. I'm the type of person. Yeah, you need a village, you need a team, you need support, you need people around you, because you're going to have your days, or there are going to be days where you so locked in on something that you are missing certain things, and you need those people to lift your head up and make you see, hey, this stuff is going on. You got to enjoy the present. You got to enjoy the now. Sometimes we get so focused and so locked in on other things that we don't take the time to look around and appreciate where we are. We got to have those people around us who help us to do that, to help us say, hey, slow down for a second. Let's appreciate where we are. Let's, take a second to realize we've come a long way. So I'm not the type of person, I'm not here to preach. You got to rely only on yourself and you can only depend on yourself. I'm just saying that there are times when that has to be the case. Like when we get so caught up in expecting people to show up for us, and when they don't, then we no longer want to do the thing that we're doing. We no longer want to fight for the cause, or we no longer want to, we want to put that sword down because we don't want to do this fight anymore, because we were expecting, or we were so reliant on that support and the people showing up, that now when they don't, we no longer want to fight for it. So now it's about, okay, what was this fight for? Was this fight about people showing up, or was this fight about whatever the cause is that you're fighting for? And you gotta, sometimes you gotta check yourself. And I know that there was times when I had to check myself, because I'm mad that people aren't showing up for me, or aren't doing the things that they said they were doing. But I had to remember, because the person that I'm trying to be was the person who leads with understanding, leads with grace. I try my best to now understand people when they're going through whatever it is that they're going through, or when they're trying to, you know, when they want to be there for me but can't be. I try to understand. I tried my best to not view everything from my point of view. I do my best to put myself in their shoes and try to understand where they're coming from, because life is going to life for all of us, and it's going to affect all of us differently. So I understand that, people may want to be there, but because of circumstances, they may not be able to. And I had to learn how to be okay with that, because that's reasonable, that's understandable, that's fair. We all go through things, and we're not always going to be able to be there every single time for the people that we want to be there for. That's just life, just being realistic. That's life. That's how life goes. We're not always going to be fortunate enough to show up for the people the way we want to show up, when we want to show up for them. Life just doesn't work that way. And in those moments is when you have to be able to show up for yourself. And that's more, I don't want people to take from my message. I'm saying, don't ever rely on people. Just, the message is more, always make sure that you're able to show up for yourself, just in case the people who are supposed to show up aren't able to. You can show up for yourself, and you can be there for yourself, and you can support yourself, and understanding that, you know, it's okay if something was the way it's supposed to work. Like, let's say you have an event and you put a lot it's a different thing. It's one thing if you're saying, hey, I have this person doing this person doing that, and if they none of them can go through, then the event doesn't, then that event can't happen. That's one thing. But if everything else, if everything's already set up and you just need people to show up and support you, again, if they don't show up, that doesn't mean that whatever you're fighting for isn't, it's no longer worth fighting for. Because if you do feel that way, then again, you have to ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? Am I truly doing this because I'm fighting for this? And I feel like whatever it is, this is that I'm fighting for, whatever it is, cause that I'm doing this event for, it's worth doing it over. Or if I'm doing it because I want the support of those people and I want the praise and I want the love and I want the attention and I want the acknowledgement. I think that those things are important questions to ask yourself why you're doing this, because and again, I'm gonna just speak from personal experience. I know for me, for the longest time when I did do certain things, it was because of the attention. It was because I wanted the acknowledgement. I wanted the praise. I wanted those things. It wasn't because I'm just doing this out of the kindness of my heart. It may come across that way. I may even say that. And there may have been times where I truly convinced myself that that was the case. But deep down, it's because of I want the attention, I want the praise, I want what comes with doing that good thing. Because, and the reason why I say that is because when I can look back on it now, and when I didn't get that praise or I didn't get that acknowledgement or whatever, I felt the way. I may have not said anything out loud, but on the inside, I felt the way, and it was just like, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore. And now I can look back on it and be like, okay, I was doing that for the wrong reasons. I was showing up for the wrong reasons. I was showing up because I wanted the praise for showing up. I wanted the acknowledgement that, hey, when nobody else was there, I was there. DJ was there. You know what I'm saying? I got a high off of that. So I was doing it for all the wrong reasons, because when I didn't receive that, it made me no longer want to be there and do that for that person. And so, man, one thing I definitely can say is therapy has put me in a position where I have put a, like, it makes me put a mirror up to myself, and I've just seen a lot about myself. And I just used to always think that I was just this great person, and I think I did a lot of great things for just the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying? Again, the examples of just being there for people, but just for the wrong reasons, being there for the praise and not being there because it's like that's just what a friend does. And I can definitely tell the difference now, because when I'm there for people now and I'm doing it just to do it, I don't care if I get the praise, I don't care if I get the acknowledgement, I don't have to get the acknowledgement, and I'll still want to do it again, you know, be there for them again, just to show the love and just to be there for them, because I understand how, and I think for me now, I understand how important it is to be there for somebody, you know, when somebody's struggling with something internal, and especially if it's someone who doesn't know how to express that they need help, that they need someone to be there for them, that they need someone to um just to lean on, you know, again, as someone who has a hard time accepting help or asking for help, you know, asking or being vulnerable enough to say, hey, I'm going through some things and I just need you right now. As someone who struggles with that, I'm a lot better with it now, but I still have my moments where I struggle. I know how important it is to be there for those people, because I know what that does. You know, since I've been in situations where I've needed someone and nobody was there, and I've been in situations where I've needed someone and somebody came through and just, hey, how your day going? Man, what you going through? And I was just able to talk to them, and I understand the power of just being able to vent to somebody, even if they can't help you, even if me venting doesn't change the situation, just but being able to talk to someone and tell someone, hey, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm feeling, this is why, you know, this is what's hurting me, this is what's tearing me up on the inside, and what's got me so it relaxes me. And I hope that it does that for other people, and I hope that I'm able to help other people, help my friends when they communicate things to me. I hope that it does that for them. It just it's not as tense, you know what I'm saying? It's like it takes those nerves and it just allows them to just kind of relax a little bit. So, sometimes, and I know I've said it on here before, I'm the type of person, some things I gotta feel before I understand. You know what I'm saying? Like some things, you can tell me, hey, don't do this. And it's like, okay, I know I'm not gonna do it. Other times I gotta do it, feel the consequences of it, and then I understand. So sometimes, this is one of those times where I have to feel the importance of having somebody there for you. You know what I'm saying? Needing somebody to be there for you and then getting that person to be there for you and how much that makes you feel and how good you feel. And now I understand the responsibility of being there for people and how important it is to show up. And if I can't show up, again, for me personally, I do my best to explain why I can't show up. You know what I'm saying? Because I know for me, that's something that I like to have, but I also understand that I'm not owed that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not owed that explanation. I just prefer it. I just would prefer to have it. So I do my best to give the explanation if I can't, be there, if I can't show up in the way that I want to show up, in the way that person needs me to show up, because I may have other things going on, whatever the case may be. I do my best to try to explain that because I know on the flip side of it, I prefer, or I would like to have that explanation as well. So I do my best to treat people the way that I want to be treated. So the things that I know that I would want in certain situations, I do my best to give to people, you know what I'm saying? Just so that way, whatever the way I want to be treated, I do my best to try to treat people that way. It doesn't always work out that way, but at least that's always my intent to, give people what I would want someone to give me in a similar um situation. But going back to the topic, just understanding how important it is to show up for yourself as yourself, you know what I'm saying, and not be perfect. You know what I'm saying? That was another thing that I had to understand. Again, going back to the example that I use with the gym, it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to give the 40 minutes every day, and the pressure that I personally put on myself to say, hey, it isn't a good workout if you don't do those 40 minutes, or this workout is less than because you didn't do those 40 minutes. That puts a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure on myself. And so I'm learning how to just show up the best way that I can, the best way that I know how each and every day. Not every day I'm not going to be 100%. My mental health may be off one day, my physical health may be off, my emotional health might be off, and it's going to affect the workout. It's going to affect what I'm able to do. It's going to affect how I show up, sometimes, and I have to be okay with it. I have to give myself enough grace to understand, hey, even though no, I didn't come with the 40 minutes today, doesn't mean that this has to be a bad workout. Doesn't mean that I have to now give up on an entire workout. If I can't do the 40 minutes, okay. If I can do the workout in 10, if I can do the workout in 15, whatever, do what you can, show up in the ways that you can for yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to show up as your best self. You don't have to show up in tip top shape on 10 every single time. I think the most important thing is that you just show up for yourself, understand that you matter enough that you need to show up in any way, shape, or form for yourself. You know what I'm saying? The to the best of your ability. And granted, sometimes your best, so on certain days, ain't gonna be tip top. Sometimes all you can give is a 6. Some days maybe the best that you can give is a 4, but show up as that 4, show up as that 6, show up as that whatever it is, but just show up for yourself. It does not have to be perfect. And I think that we put so much pressure on ourselves to show up for ourselves in this perfect form, and we're so locked in on the perfect part that we just forget to show up for ourselves, because we feel like, well, if I'm not showing up in my best as my best self, what's the point of showing up? And we got to realize the point of showing up is just to be there, just to show yourself or show those other people, I care enough to be here. I may not be at my best. I may not be able to give you the 10 that you expected. I may not be able to give everything that I would normally give because I got other things going on, but I care enough about you to show up and to be here and to give what I can and to do the best that I can with what I have. And I think that that's what's important. Not to be perfect, not to not to have all the answers, but just to be there. You know what I'm saying? Again, for yourself and for other people, just to be there. And stop worrying about it being perfect because we're not God and we're not machines. We're not programmable machines. We're human. We're going to have our days when we're just on it and we got it. And we're going to have our days where we just don't have it. And those are the days where it's even more important to show up for yourself because those are the days where it's so easy to get lost in the mental part of it. It's so easy to get lost in the negative emotions. It's so easy to get lost in, depression and things like that. Those days add up very quickly, very easily. One day of not showing up for yourself because you're not perfect can easily turn into a week and then turn into a month and then turn into you just not showing up at all. So especially on those days when you don't feel like going, just as an example, going to the gym, go, even if it's just you do 2 exercises, whatever the case may be, go. It's so important to go to just show up and do whatever you can. Now, obviously, I'm not saying if you're just throwing up everywhere or if you just physically can't get out of bed. I'm not saying that. Obviously, I'm not saying that. But if you can go, but you know that you can't give it what you would normally give it, but I can go and give something, then give what you can give. And that's what matters. Showing up for yourself is what matters. Showing up for the people is what matters. You showing up is what matters. Again, you may not be able to give the best or the greatest or the perfect. That's okay. I think that people would just prefer if they expect you to show up or if they just want you to show up. I think that that's what's more important is that you're showing up. You may not be able to show up as your greatest self, as your best self, as your perfect self, but the fact that you're showing up could mean the world to somebody. And it could mean the world to yourself and the journey and the things that you're doing for yourself. You have to show up for yourself first. You know what I'm saying? Because there are going to be times in your journey where people may not be able to show up, or there may be times where you don't have the people around you because this is something that you got to do on your own. You feel like you need to separate from everybody for this particular part of your journey, for this particular part of the process. It's going to be hard for people to show up for you if you've now separated yourself because you feel like this is a part that you need to do strictly on your own. Then it's even more important to make sure that you know how to show up for yourself and understanding that showing up for yourself has to happen even on the days when you're not on your off days, on your down days, your low days, your weak days, whatever it may be. It may be the most important time to show up for yourself when you're feeling at your lowest, when you're feeling at your uh ugliest, when you're going through your most struggles, whatever the case may be. Those are the most important times that you have to show up for yourself. I think that it's a must to show up for yourself in those times. But yeah, we had that conversation and we talked for about 2 or 3 hours about how important it is to show up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just in case you don't have those people around you to show up for you, that doesn't mean give up on the things or those things aren't worth fighting for. Those things aren't worth going after and trying to achieve. Just, sometimes, some moments you gotta go in it alone and you gotta be there for yourself. You gotta have your own back. Again, that's not me advocating for you never relying on people, never asking people for anything, never leaning on, your friends, family, the people around you. I'm going to always advocate for having your village, for having your team, for having your support around you. I'll always advocate for that. It's just also understanding that there are moments and times in life where you just have to go at something alone on your own until your people can start showing back up for you. Until that time comes, you may have to do certain things by yourself, and that's okay. You have to learn how to do that and understand the importance of doing that and being there for yourself. But that's the message. I don't want people to take away from this message that you have to do everything on your own all the time. But there will be times where you do have to do things on your own. Those are two different mindsets. But I want to make sure that I differentiate between the two. So, but that's it for today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I just want to really just thank y'all and appreciate every single download, every single listen that y'all give. And to everybody watching on YouTube, I want to thank y'all as well. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time that we meet, y'all already know, stay blessed.